I want to launch a lawsuit against the US government for their corruption. Wage slavery was a real problem after the Civil War. The Republican Party of the time compared it to chattel slavery, with the only difference being a wage slave can walk away from their employer, but at the end of the day, they can't walk away from the system that enslaves them. This was during the times of the robber barons who abused workers any way they could. Eventually, through decades of fighting, the working class got better wages, rights, benefits, and safety social nets, so the idea of wage slavery died down. But now we are returning to the age of robber barons, only this time it's billionaires stealing wages and benefits, especially through the advent of the gig economy. The 70s was the decade where the middle class peaked. After that, the decline hasn't stopped. In the 70s, one job was enough to live comfortably and afford the cost of living. But now everything has become so expensive, the only way to afford things like we could in the 70s is if the minimum wage was $66, and that would only be the minimum wage. We are free in a lot of regards, but lack of financial freedom keeps us enslaved to the pursuit of money. And since money is the tool that controls everything, we are forced to trade our time, part of our life, for it. And that alone would be understandable, but we don't get enough money to live comfortably or safely. And owners and capitalists that make enough money that they could fund universal healthcare in America, but instead choose to hoard as much wealth as they can. 55% of US households live paycheck to paycheck. 46% of Americans can't save $400, and the average household debt is 112%. We are very much living under wage slavery. We can quit our jobs, but any other job we get will be the same because we are enslaved to the system. The owner class, the CEOs, the shareholders, they minimize their wages as best as they can because of how high it is taxed, and buy politicians to manipulate the tax laws to benefit their capital of stocks, real estate, and handouts. The rich take on debt, but since they can easily pay it back, it's more of an allowance compared to the struggling class who are forced to pay it back and can't afford to restructure their debts. Wages have been left behind by politicians. That's why wages barely go up like 0.2% a year, but the rich can see their wealth increase by 138%. America has already been through capitalism with no respect for the working class, and the workers revolted. We've also been through a progressive era that succeeded and would have kept succeeding if the US didn't waste so much money invading other countries for the sake of US companies. Please subscribe to the channel to support this organization of truth, life, and freedom so we can sue the US government and revolt and retaliate because they've already fired the first shots.